Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to be talking about fermented foods for SIBO, which is SIBO is the term for small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. And SIBO is popping up everywhere, and it seems to be becoming more and more prevalent. Every day, it seems like I'm hearing more and more people are having problems with this when it was very limited years ago. But there's been a lot of things happening that I think are contributing to it. So the SIBO, which is the small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, colonizes the upper GI tract, which ascends about 24 feet of the ileum, the jejunum, and the duodenum in the stomach. And most species abide in the colon, not up in the upper gastro area. But when unhealthy microbes start to abide in places they don't belong, like the upper gastrointestinal area, this can cause SIBO and create a huge ruckus. What do you think? I mean, most people are like, what do you think is causing this? I get this email a lot. What do you think is causing SIBO? Well, there's a couple things. Rounds and rounds of antibiotics, herbicides that we use for farming, pesticides, a lot of food additives are causing problems. But a lot of prescription drugs can also contribute to SIBO because it just disrupts the body. Now, even taking probiotic supplements with huge amounts of different species can open up in places in the body where they don't belong. And all of this or some of this can help contribute to SIBO. Now, there's a histamine problem that's also increasing along with SIBO, and so is IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. It seems more and more people are having problems with histamines, but they also, if they have histamine problems, which causes allergic reactions in the body, you can get sneezing and wheezing and rashes and things like that. It's a strong response, but a lot of those people, and quite a few, have small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, SIBO, or irritable bowel syndrome. They seem to go hand in hand. And the bacteria that are normally found in the colon and large intestines, they have spread to places they should not reside, which is the upper gastro area, these harmful species. And it increases food sensitivities, it creates histamine responses, and it can even create a histamine intolerance to a whole bunch of different types of foods, or it can create IBS, which is, it's a very multifaceted irritable bowel syndrome, has many components to it. And all of these symptoms are your body's cry for help. So it's not the enemy. It's just your body reacting, saying something's wrong, something's out of balance. And that's the way it is with most disease. Disease is not the enemy. It's just the warning call, trying to get you to pay attention to what's going on in your life. I've spoke about him a lot. Is Dr. Davis, MD. He's a wonderful colleague and has developed many wonderful fermented dairy yogurts that have helped so many of his followers, but have also helped so many of my followers too, and especially to help heal with SIBO. It's so exciting to see that a food fermented with just very specific species that naturally colonize the upper GI tract will also control dysbiosis and help restore balance throughout the body. Now, one of the things that Dr. Davis recommends is getting an air device. And this measures breath oxygen, or H2 gas. He explains more about this in a video, and I'm going to put that description below. And again, I want to remind you, every time I do a podcast, I have an article to go with it, so you can read it and see the links in it too. So you can always click below if you're looking at it to see the article. Go on my website at culturedfoodlife.com, and then you'll see all of that too. But I always have an article with a podcast, so if that helps. And he has a video about H2 breath detection. It's called H2 breath detection video, and it's on YouTube, and it helps to map out where the human GI tract microbes are living. Now, a similar H2 breath test has been around for a number of years, and it was performed in clinics or labs and ordered mostly by doctors or practicing physicians. But most of the physicians nowadays are unaware of the value of this test, of having this device, and rarely, if ever, use it. But it's a very great tool to help you determine if you've got these types of harmful microbes living in your GI tract. Now, the other exciting way to help is to make SIBO yogurt, which uses specific species that colonize the upper GI tract and produce bacteriocins. These are natural antibiotics produced by the selected microbes that you're ingesting, effective in killing or suppressing all different kinds of species of SIBO, such as Cavassa, E. coli, Streptococcus, and it will kill those because the good species will go after them and destroy them, which is what you want. You want your body to do it naturally. And then those species that are killing the other species will dominate and control that area and live there and those are the species you want. Those are the ones that are naturally supposed to abide there. So we have 2 yogurt starters that are very helpful for this. And they are fermented at very specific temperatures at 100 Fahrenheit for a long period, about 36 hours. And this will make high amounts of colony-forming units, or CFUs, that will help take over that upper gastro area, kill the ones that don't belong there, and proliferate the ones that do belong there. And you want to do it for 36 hours because these microbes are very specific. Everybody told Dr. Davis that they could not make yogurt from these species. He found a way to do it. He gave them lots of prebiotics and he fermented them for 36 hours. And he tested it a lot, and he found that at 30 hours, that's when they started to grow. So from 30 hours to 36 is when all those microbes grow. It's pretty low on the scale before that period of time. But once it hits that mark, then they really go through the roof. And that's when you'll get all the benefits. So make sure you do it for 36 hours at 100 degrees. And the deal about this is that you need specific types of equipment to do that, like yogurt makers, but some yogurt makers ferment at higher temperature. But I have a list of the ones you can get, and I think I've got 6 or 8 different kinds. I think I've got 6, maybe 5. I don't remember now. But anyway, they do a really good job of holding the temperature there and also keeping the temperature low. Most yogurt makers do 110. This one actually goes down to 100 or even lower, the ones that I'm recommending, and it has a longer timer. So it's a great investment for you. And I'll put those in the link description and in the article below. So the first one that you're going to make is Lactobacillus gasseri. And we have a starter for that now. It's brand new. It naturally abides in the small intestine, this particular species. And if you've had a dose of antibiotic, chances are you just wiped it out. And it produces up to 7 natural antibiotics in it, but also has the species in it. And it will make a delicious sugar with high counts of this special species, Lactobacillus gasseri, which has other benefits too besides balancing out SIBO. It's great for women, for vaginal health, for men even. It naturally abides in several places in the body, in the genital area and in the upper gastro tract, which is very effective in balancing out problems that you may not even be aware of, especially if you've had an antibiotic. Now, the other microbe that you want is Lactobacillus reuteri. It colonizes the small intestine as well and produces up to 4 bacterial which are natural antibiotics. And it also has something very powerful, eradicating, which has been very effective against other species. As a matter of fact, one of my colleagues said that when he went to a microbiologist lab, they told him they sometimes use this specific species to clean out their fermentation vats because this micro is so strong going after other pathogens and things like that. It's pretty powerful. I've been eating it for a long time. Well, not a long time, almost a year. And I can't believe the benefits I've got from this. And a lot of people have gotten rid of SIBO just with L. reuteri. And we have a superfood starter that we made for this last year. It's just flying off the shelves. People love it. People have found so many benefits from it. It has things like creates more oxytocin. It creates more muscle growth, your skin, your hair. I had a letter last week. Somebody said she's got new growth. Her hair is growing for the first time in decades. It's very powerful, and it's a wonderful yogurt to make, and it's made just like L-gasseri. It's fermented at 100 degrees for 36 hours, and it's fantastic. Now, you have to make the yogurt separate at first, And then once you have one of each, you could take a spoonful of each to make the SIBO yogurt. So you need a spoonful of L-gastrite, spoonful of L-reuteri, and you mix them together and then you ferment that for 36 hours, and you get this powerful SIBO yogurt. And then you can make again and again and again using these yogurts as a starter. So you only have to make them separate once. And then unless it starts to diminish, if it stops getting sour, starts to taste not like it used to, then you need a new starter package. But for the most part, it really works for a very long time, just using the batch that you previously made as your starter for the next batch. And you can make 4 or 5 all at once if you get depending on the equipment that you get for a yogurt maker. I use a sous vide. It's fabulous because I can make, is it 5 jars at a time? I think you usually make 5 jars at a time. And you can do SIBO, you could do L-reuteri, you could do L-gastrite. And I love that because I just put quart jars in there. If you haven't heard of a sous vide, it's a device that moves around water and keeps it at a certain temperature, and it ferments very, very well. It also does other things. It does other types of foods that you can do. A lot of chefs use it. A lot of French chefs use it. A lot of people in the world of cooking use it, and it works very, very well. I love using my sous vide, but there's also other yogurt makers. Louvelli makes a fabulous yogurt maker, and there's some more. Some Instapots will work, but most of them get too hot. There's only a few that get the temperature low enough. People see more problems with Instapots than they do other things. So you got to be really careful which ones you got. And I've got a list of which ones to get, but most of them get too hot and aren't very consistent. But then some people do great with it. So you'll just have to test yours to see if the temperature stays consistent, gets low enough. Now, once you make these yogurts, so again, you're going to make one batch of one batch of L-gastrite and one batch of L-reuteri to make a SIBO yogurt. And we have starter packages for L-gastrite. We have a yogurt starter for L-reuteri. And then once you make a batch of each of them, so you have a jar of each, you just take a spoonful of each and make another jar, and you have a SIBO yogurt. And you can do it again and again. Now, you can just eat them separately if you want. It would still work the same for you. It's kind of convenient to have them together, but you can certainly have them separate and eat them that way too. Just have a little of each, and that will work just as well. So more and more people, and what we're finding, and this is in some of Dr. Davis's work, he's found a lot of people that eat a half a cup per day of the SIBO yogurt for 4 weeks really start to see results. And these people were using the air device that he recommends, and so they could see the reduction in the symptoms, but also on the air device, it would let them know that they were getting a lot of the gas, using the hydrogen gas. They weren't getting that fermentation where they had been before. So it's a pretty amazing thing, and it's working really well for a lot of people. It's exciting because it's very, very, very hard to treat SIBO. Most people take antibiotics, and that can work, but then sometimes it can backfire because then you're killing everything, and you really do need those species in your body to keep things in order. So it's a very, very difficult thing to treat, and more people are having problems with it. And I'm so excited that they're seeing results with this SIBO yogurt, and even with just L-reuteri yogurt that you can make. So if you don't want to do the whole way, I suggest trying that first and see how you do. They're terrific. I have a lot of articles on both of them, and explains exactly what they do, because you're getting more benefits than just getting rid of SIBO. So most people, every animal, everybody who lives, in the native in native places that haven't had antibiotics, everybody has L-reuteri. But if you had one antibiotic, it's probably killed that and the gastro in your body. And animals have it too, and you're supposed to have it. It lives in the upper gastro area. It does a lot of things, and so does L-gastrite. Both of them do. And in this day and age, we're losing some of our microbes that we really need. And it is my belief that we need L-reuteri because it creates oxytocin. And so many people are upset and struggling with their emotions and feeling a lot of anxiety. I'm seeing it more and more. It's becoming more and more prevalent. And I have to tell you, what a difference this yogurt has made for me and my family. We're happier. We have more compassion. There's so many. I've written a lot about it, talk a lot about it, but it is well worth the effort to make these yogurts, or even to just make valrudorite, because it just is so powerful. L-gastrite does so many things that people are unaware of, and especially for women's health, and it really does make a difference. It's what's naturally in your body to keep everything in balance. But, depending on your diet, what kind of drugs you're taking, prescription drugs, and also antibiotics, you could have that completely gone, which leaves you vulnerable for different types of species in your body that don't belong there, and especially don't belong in the upper gastro area, because it kind of wreaks havoc on you and makes everything hard to do. So I am very, very excited about this, because for the last, I'd say 3 years, maybe 4 years, I have seen so many people writing me about SIBO, and I'm like, why is this becoming so prevalent? And I'm just thankful that we have a natural solution, or for many people. I don't want to say it's a cure-all, because it's just pretty new, but it sure is helping people. And it is just food. It's not, drugs with side effects. It's a food that your body loves and naturally can consume, but it is really helping to repopulate missing microbes that many of us are missing. And we're missing quite a few. The exciting thing is kefir. I love kefir. It has over 50 plus good bacteria, and it actually has small amounts of L-reuteri, but it's a different strain of L-reuteri. So this kind of fills in the gaps. It doesn't have L-gastrite in it, and it doesn't have huge amounts of this strain of L-reuteri, which is a very important one. So I think it's really exciting to be able to supplement and to have something that helps fill in the gaps for you. Because I think the more diverse our microbiome is, the better we do, the healthier we are, and the stronger we become. And the better you feel emotionally too, which I think is very important. So I will leave the description below for the SIBO yogurt. I have the recipe, I have the starter cultures, I have all kinds of things to help you, and a lot of articles you might want to read to get more information. Thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you next week.